Hello beautiful people, you are welcome to Visit Cult's Fashion House channel. My name is Fola. We appreciate as many that has been subscribing to this channel, and if you are yet to subscribe, do well to subscribe today. Thank you. Today I'll be teaching you how to make one trendy transparent corset, and to achieve that, all the material we'll be needing, we need this beautiful sequin material. Is a perfect sequin, so we'll be using the plain parts. We'll be using both the plain parts and the sequin parts for this project. We need this skin net for the net parts. We need this regilin bone for the boning. We need this cup, and on the wire will be used. So let's get started. This is the bodice pattern drafting, and here we have 17 inches as our waistline, bust points 9 inches, and the under bust line 12 inches. The next thing to do now is to get our under bust. Under bust we are working with is 12 inches, and to get it on this cup, because it won't be the same way by the time you place your tape on the cup. So the next thing to do is to place your cup this way and get your 12 inches. So you can see that we can't get it, so we have to push it up a bit to get our 12 inches. Here we have, we can get it on this point now. So on this point we are able to get our 12 inches on the bust. We are going to mark it. First of all, be reminded that on this spot now, you will come in with a half an inch. That is the center front for our corset. So after placing your tape on the cup, and you are able to get your under bust, so then you can then get your, so you place your cup the way you want it to look. This is the way we want it for this fairy project. So we get that half an inch in there, get it here, we mark it, we get it down here too, half an inch. So we'll be connecting it later after marking the dotted line where we have our under bust. Let me just, you just gently mark it, because this is not the original one we are cutting out. So we still come in, it's like a quarter of an inch for seam allowance. So here we have our cup, so you can remove the cup. Then we come in with a quarter an inch now, quarter, so that will serve as our seam allowance. You don't cut direct on that your marking. You come in, so you can equally draw your line, so that you'll be able to get your quarter inch very clearly. So this dotted line, you just connect it. The quarter of an inch that you come in with, just take your time to connect it, because this is the one we'll be cutting on. So the next thing we have to do now is to, I just want to connect this center front line. So we want to get our horizontal measurement proper now. So we get our bust. The bust we are working with is 36. You divide 36 by 4, give us 9. So this is where you measure your bust now. 9 inches. 9 inches. Then 2 inches seam allowance. Then you get your waist measurements. The waist we are working with is 28. You divide 28 by 4, give us 7. You mark 7 inches here. You mark 7 inches. You get your seam allowance of 2 inches. So here now, before we take care of this waistline, let me quickly take care of the bust area. So all we need to do now is to just connect this very place. Now you connect it to your armhole. This will serve as a armhole now. Just like that. So before we connect the side, so the next thing we have to do now is to get the darts. And the way we are going to get this our darts now is not, when we divide 28 by 8, assuming we want to get our darts straight. If we divide 28 by 8, it gives us a 3.5. So this will have been, 3.5. We mark 3.5, then we get 1 inch. So then we mark 3.5 again. So we now get a seam allowance of 2 inches. So this place will have been our darts. We get the center here. So this center now, if we measure it from here, it happens to be 4 inches. So we'll have gotten our 4 inches here. We get it here under the cup. Then we connect it. Let me just use pencil to connect it, because this is not the original one we are using for this project. So we first of all connect that point to the straight line to the center of our dart. Then we connect it this way. So this is the way we'll have drawn our darts. But for this project, if you look at the thumbnail, the picture we are having, you can see the way the darts take a curved look. Looks like a princess dart somehow. So what we do is that we come from this very place now. We come in with 1 inch. 1 inch, we mark it 1 inch. So we now place our cuff, French cuff, even to achieve this. So you connect it there. So this is the dart we are working it out. We are not cutting it out. We'll just notch it. So now, having gotten our darts now, so the next thing is to connect the bust to the waist. So, and when you look at the picture we are working towards, the corset, our transparent corset, it has a basque effect. So that is what I want to, that's why I have to leave this like 2 inches you are seeing down here. So the next thing I do now is to connect. I will extend this my line, this my dart now, to this down. So to achieve that, we are having 2.5 here. So I get 2.5 here. So I extend this my, connect it. Then I now use my French curve as well, even to connect from here now, from the seam allowance where the original measurement stop. So I now connect it to this end. Yes, here we are. So this is the way we are going to cut out. And another thing is that for this pattern drafting, I'm going to reduce my seam allowance to 1. I'll be using 1 inch seam allowance because the net we are using is stretchy, so that we won't have too much surplus. So I just, but normally for normal, if you are using normal fabric, 2 inches is good for you for seam allowance. But for this very one, because it's a net and it's stretchy, so I will reduce it to 1. So this is the one I will be cutting out now. So the next thing we notch the, even before you open. This is where you hold your darts. You know, you are going to hold half, so you come in by half. That's it. So the next thing to do now is to go and, you know, cut out our fabric with this template. So to draft the back cut now, this is the pattern draft, bodice for the back. So the length, half length, 17 inches. This is the one I draw, I mark 1 inch here and draw the line for this is the zipper allowance. This is the shoulder length, 7 inches, and this is the armhole line of 8 inches, and this is the bust span line, 9 inches. That is the one we use for the front bust span, 9 inches. So that on that line you get the bust span, that is 4 inches. That is nipple to nipple, 8 inches divided by 2, 4 inches. You mark the 4 inches on this line. So you mark it here also, 4 inches. You connect it. You connect it with a straight ruler. Then on it here, on this line, you come to the left by half and to the right by half an inch. So you connect it. So this is that line for the back. This is that line for the back. So on this line, you measure the bust measurements. So the bust measurement we are working with is 36 divided by 4, give us 9 inches. So you get your 1.5 as a seam allowance. For the back, we are using sequin fabric for the back. Or you can use 1 to 1.5 inches. So for the waist, you get the the waist. The waist we are working with is 28. 28 divided by 4 give us 7. So you measure your 7 on this line. You return this 1 inch. That's allowance, 1 inch. Then you measure your 1.5 seam allowance. So you connect it. So having done that, you shape your back. I mean, to avoid the zipper bulge. So we come out from this 1 inch line. We come out by quarter. That's a quarter of an inch. This is it. Then you connect it to the hub, to the upper part of your bodice, just like so. So the center back has been shaped. So I want my back to be stylish. So for that reason, I measure down 9.5. You can do it 9 to 10 inches. So let me just use 9.5 to shape my back. I want it to have a coffee effect at the back. So I just, this 9.5 that I've marked, I just connect it. I connect it. So this one cannot, let me use a bigger French cuff. So I just connect it from this from the original measurement of the bust. I connect it to this end, just slantly. So this is it. So this is the back cut now. So the next thing for me is to, cut it out. I just notch this that's the way I will notch it in my fabric. If you want your back to remain straight, you just draw this line straight to this end. I just want mine to be curved. This is the back cut for our corset now. So all you need to do is to fold your fabric and use this template to cut it out. We have cut out our net fabric, and what you are to do, because on the net you are not going to hold any dart on the net. So what you do is that this fairy line that we drew on the pattern, you trace it out on your net. You can use your marker to do that on your net, so that you will know the exact point where you are going to place your pipe, place your sequin, where you are going to pipe your sequin, so that you insert the bony on it, inside it. So we use this marker to trace out this line, just this way. It's unfold so that it will be sewn on the two sides. So that after fixing your cup, this is where you're going to place your piping. So I can see it. So the next thing we have to do is to cut out our bra cover, to cover our cup. The sequin and the velvet. So I've traced out that shape. I don't know if you are seeing it, but me, I'm seeing it. This is it here, this is it here. So to get the center is not hard. So it is that. So that is for the net. So the next thing we have to do now is to take care of the cup, how to cover the cup. And to achieve that, if you look at the picture, you will see that the plain part is used up at the upper part, while the sequin part is at the down part. So that's what we want to achieve now. So now what we do now is that we first of all cut out our lining, the lining for our cup. And to achieve that, this is what I will be using for the lining, is stretch material. So I cut out 10 by 10. I measured 10 by 10. I cut out. So the next thing I want to do is that I will cut the two together. I will place it on fold this way. Having done this, I will get the midpoint. This is a 10. Get the midpoint. So connect it. I connect it. I connect it. I come up here by 1, come down by 1 inch, 1 inch. Then I connect. I connect this way. I connect. Then I cut it out. So this is it. So we want to go and join this together now. That area where we shape it, this is it. We are going to join this together with a half an inch. We are going to do the same for the second one. But before I go ahead and do that, I will now use it to copy it out with my, with my sequin and the velvet. So I cut it out. So I will do the same thing for the velvet. I will cut out the same thing from the velvet. I'll place it. Yes. So the next thing I will do now is I'm going to join this the lining and line it together with half an inch. I notch it, I open it and iron. I do the same thing to the second lining. So for the material, I'm going to pick one sequin material, one velvet material. I'm going to join it the same way with half an inch here at that area where it was shaped. So I will sew it with half an inch, open it and iron it. I will do the same thing to this second one before we now place it on our cup. So now the material to cover our cup has been joined together, and it has been opened and ironed neatly. So the next thing we have to do now is that we want to join the cup, and we want to cover our cup now. This is the line. To use the fabric to cover the cup now, so you just mark from the upper part of your cup, just mark down 1.5 in both sides. I was considering 2 inches before, but I think I prefer 1.5. You mark 1.5 here, you mark 1.5 here too. So it is on this when I now place my fabric on the cup, so I make sure that this joining fall on that 1.5 mark, just this way. I pin it. So I do the same thing this side. I pin it down. Then I place my lining on it. This is my lining. So you know, this is the right side. I place the right side on the right side. So I ensure that the joining is aligned. The joining of the lining is aligned with the material, just this way. I pin it. Then now it is the upper part. It is the upper part I want to join first. So I now pin the upper parts. I pin it together. Yes. So having done this, so the next thing I will go and do now is to join this 1/4 inch that is already in place in our cup. So that's where I will join now. And to do that, I will make sure I apply the hem gum. As I'm joining it, I put my hem gum with it. I join it together, so that by the time I turn the lining to this cup and I iron it, everything will lay very well. So that's the way I will sew it together with this hem gum to this end. So before we do the next thing. So that is for the cup. I will do the second one just like that. As for the net, so the next thing is to create the tunnel for our bone. So, and to achieve that, I cut my sequin 2 inches wideness. So the next thing, you will cut as many that will be enough for you for the 3 line. This side, the center, front, and the other that. So, and to achieve that, I'll just place it on this line that I've already marked there. I place it this way. I sew on it. I sew on it with 1/2 inch. I sew down, then I now fold it, and now I turn it this way. I turn it just like this. So I sew on it down. So this is the tunnel at which the boning will be inserted. I cut the length of the boning I need. I iron it very well and insert it. I do the same thing here. I do the same thing at the center front. So before we now join our cup that has already been, wrapped, we now join it to the cup area. So those are the things I want to go and do now. This is the back cut. We have cut it out. We have held the dart, and it has been piped. I use the plain velvet material to pipe it. The only thing remains is to just insert a boning inside the dart, stitch it down. So that is for the back. And for the front, this is the cup. It has been wrapped. You can see how it is neatly wrapped. This is the two. Then this is the bodice. The next thing, so the stripe has been joined to the dart area where it has been neatly piped, and even to the center front. The next thing is to insert the bone. So when you are inserting the bone, make sure that you iron it to straighten it. So we insert the bone. Then I've used like 1.5 inches of velvet even to pipe this area, both sides. So the next thing to do now is to join our cup. I'm going to, you can see the cup has been neatly covered. So the next thing you have to do is to join your black cup with the bodice, just this way with a 1/4 of an inch. You join it to this end. So after joining your black cup with the bodice, you now use like a 1/4 of an inch of a strap to conceal it, to brace it at the outer part of the cup. Under the black cup, you pipe it round. So that is where the underwire will be inserted. So thereafter, you join the side. This is the side. You join the side. You join both sides together, and the corset will be ready. So I'll join it with a 1 inch. So let me go and do that now. Regeling bone will be inserted in all this area. 1, 2, 3, then 2 that at the back, taking 5 places. So we have piped the under of our corset with the plain velvet, and the boning has been inserted in and the side has been joined together. So it is advisable you use a velvet lining for the back, and after joining the upper part of the lining and the sequin together, so this net will be in between the lining and the sequin, so that it will make your side seem to be neater. So, and for the cup, for the piping of the under of the cup, we join the cup to the bodice at the right side. So before we now pipe it with the velvet. The next thing we want to do now is to insert the underwire to our cup. So ensure that you get the right size for your of the underwire for your cup. It has sizes, because this one is not enough for it, so I'm just using it as an illustration. So, and this is it. This is the way it's going to be. You just let me pass through here. So this is it. You can see that it's not enough for it. So I didn't bother to insert the underwire because this is not its size. So get the right size for yours. So this is the end result of a transparent corset. You can see how beautiful and nice it looks. So I hope you have enjoyed this video. Like it, drop your comments on the comment section, share with your friends, and do well to subscribe to this channel. Thank you very much. See you next time.